A lot of the mangrove forests in the world occur in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand. In many of those countries there's been a large loss of mangrove forest, and we've got sea level starting to rise more quickly than it has in the past. There's a lot of population living on these low-lying coasts, so restoration efforts are taking place now to try and restore these forests. They provide a lot of ecosystem services. The organic material they produce supports coastal ecosystems. They're also sinks for carbon. In New Zealand we have this sort of interesting thing going on where over the last 50 years or so mangrove forests have been expanding their distribution in our estuaries, and these estuaries have been filling up with essentially eroded soils from the land. People have been viewing mangroves as land builders, as habitats that are actually increasing the rate of sedimentation in our estuaries, and so a lot of my work has been looking at this point of view. Are they land builders, or do they just follow on behind the sedimentation that's occurring anyway? The approach I've taken with this research is to look at processes and responses over different timescales, everything from single tidal cycles right through to years and decades. I've undertaken sediment coring, so I've used that to reconstruct the way the forest has developed and the estuary has developed over time, making other measurements of sediment transport, looking at the sources of sediments, looking at how long the forests spend underwater, because that's when the sediment can be delivered to the forest and accumulate. And a lot of these forests have built up the sediment levels in our estuaries so much that they only go underwater under big tide. I've also been able to look at what are the key processes driving sedimentation in mangrove forests, and it turns out it's not those sort of rare big storm tides and river floods. It's actually the more common day-to-day process of gentle sea breezes creating waves that are stirring up the seabed, and when they coincide with big spring tides, the sediment is able to actually get into the forest. And it seems in this case that this mangrove forest is developed under the influence of those sort of day-to-day processes. What my work's shown is that New Zealand mangrove forests are likely to be highly resilient to future sea level rise because of the sediment they're supplied with. The sediment supply is the key factor that will determine the fate of these mangrove forests worldwide.